The year was 1999. It was my first year here at Sacred Heart University, and I created a class called Democratic Technologies with a simple premise. How can students take consumer technologies and become media producers? That class started with one simple question. What technology have you ever said no to? This year was no different. When I asked that question, there were a few tentative answers, but generally students for the past 25 years have never really considered the technologies that we bring into our lives and how they will affect them. In this class, I set in motion a process in which students consider how digital technology impacts their lives and those of the people around them. I'm your host, Gregory Golda. Welcome to Digital Citizen. Today we explore how digital technologies are like a double-edged sword, simultaneously offering us once unimaginable conveniences, but also taking a toll on our mental health and bringing about societal changes faster than we can adapt. Our first report comes from Colin Mora. Junior Colin Mora's issue centered around the ethics behind automated jobs and artificial intelligence, focusing on ways in which these new technologies can benefit as well as impair social welfare. He researched the effects of excessive automation on the workplace.
Hello, my name is Colin Mora, and today I'll be discussing the ethical dilemma of excessive automation. Technology is continuing to accelerate in an unprecedented manner. The very way in which we complete work is rapidly changing. The emergence of automation and artificial intelligence in the workplace has brought forth a multitude of debates, dissecting its potential benefits and consequences to society. While excessive automation offers the undeniable advantage of increased efficiency for companies, I am growing exceedingly concerned about its potential to vastly worsen social and economic inequality around the world. One of the primary advantages of automation is its ability to streamline processes and increase productivity. Tasks that once required human intervention can now be performed more efficiently and accurately by machines. Furthermore, AI-powered technologies have the potential to revolutionize industries like healthcare, enhancing overall quality of life. Automation in manufacturing has the ability to lessen the severe problem of factory working conditions, a major social justice issue. The United Nations Global Compact estimates that 2.78 million workers die from occupational accidents and work-related diseases annually, meaning 7,500 people die from unsafe and unhealthy working conditions every single day. However, with the benefits of automation comes a number of severe ethical concerns about its impact on the workforce, namely in widespread job displacement. This can lead to increased unemployment and underemployment, exacerbating existing inequalities by favoring the large corporations that already have proven detrimental to worldwide social justice. In fact, according to the Carbon Majors report, just 100 companies have been the source of more than 70% of the world's greenhouse gas emissions since 1988. Amnesty International, an international non-governmental organization focused on human rights around the world, published a detailed report on the relationship between technology, inequality, and human rights in October of 2023. Its research stated that both wealth inequality and poverty are on the rise around the world, and new technologies are increasingly central to how people access work and essential services. This can impact people's ability to access healthcare, housing, education, social protection, and other essential services that are core to human rights. Is excessive automation going to displace jobs, worsening poverty worldwide? Professors and researchers out of Boston University and the Massachusetts Institute of Technology believe that it may. Pasquale Restrepo and Darren Asimoglu study the drivers of growing wealth gap between rich and poor Americans. They have concluded that large corporations are taking advantage of the booming technological advances, and as AI puts money back into the pockets of the billionaires, income share is declining for the lower and middle classes. Excessive reliance on automation raises questions about human autonomy and decision-making. As algorithms and machines take on more tasks, there is a risk of diminishing human agency and control over important aspects of life, such as employment, healthcare, and governance. Issues such as algorithmic bias, privacy infringement, and other unintended consequences need to be addressed to ensure that automation is used in ways that respect human rights and dignity. Thanks for listening to me today. I believe this complex issue deserves a number of approaches and considerations. I encourage you to do additional research on the ethics behind excessive automation. It's all of our futures at stake. Now, what's your issue?
Colin, this is a really interesting topic and a great video. How do you think AI will impact us now and into the medium future, since I don't think we can really predict too far into the future? What do you think is going on?
I think AI and automation can both be incredibly useful, but right now, in like the current capitalist system that we're under, I'm leaning more towards scary. I think that the ethical considerations behind this are what we need to be valuing above all else. And I think excessive use of AI and automation, while it could possibly have tremendous benefits in fields such as education and healthcare, I think it is going to displace jobs in a very, very exponential and uncomfortable way, which is going to create a lot of worldwide social welfare issues.
It is very hard to predict, so we'll have to keep our eye on it.
Yeah,
Thanks so
no,
much.
definitely.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you, Colin. Learning how to balance technology is essential to one's mental well-being. Communications major Haley Falera reports on how college students can have an appropriate work, school, and social life balance.
Hi, my name is Haley Falera, and today I'm going to be talking to you all about the importance of using technology responsibly within your life. Let's talk tech, shall we? We're living in this crazy era where technology is running the show, right? It's everywhere, doing all sorts of cool stuff. But hey, before we get too carried away, let's chat about why we need to keep things balanced. Imagine this: a world where we're glued to our screens 24/7, where our phones know us better than family and friends, and where we can't remember the last time we had a face-to-face conversation without someone checking their notifications. Sound familiar? Look, I'm all for technology. Tech's brought us a lot of amazing stuff, no doubt. But we have to be transparent about the downsides. We're talking about losing touch with what makes us human, giving up our privacy, and drowning in a sea of info that leaves us feeling more overwhelmed than enlightened. So what's the solution? It's finding balance between tech and humanity. It's about using all the cool gadgets and apps to make our lives easier, sure, but not at the expense of genuine connections and living in the moment. It's about being mindful of how we use tech and making sure it's serving us, not the other way around. Let's paint a picture of a world where tech's our buddy, not our boss. Where we're still calling the shots and living our best lives, with a little help from technology. It's totally doable, but it takes all of us being conscious about finding that balance. This brings about the question of, how do I disconnect? It can be difficult to disconnect from our devices when our lives revolve around them. Schoolwork, social life, and work in general all seem to go back to one thing, and that is technology. Whether that be homework, talking to friends, or connecting with family back home, it is extremely difficult to separate yourself from technology. First is avoiding checking your phone as soon as you wake up. Although it is difficult, it can avoid mindlessly scrolling and catching up on missed notifications. The second is to not let your phone keep you up late at night. Do not end your day scrolling on TikTok or Instagram. Picking up a book or a mindful meditation can help relax your mind and can overall help you sleep better. Thirdly, setting boundaries with yourself and technology throughout the day. Regulate your screen time and how much time you spend on each app on any given day. You can utilize the screen time management that the iPhone offers all users that locks apps after a certain amount of time. This can help you better stay on task throughout the day and focus on human interaction as well as schoolwork. Fourth, make sure that what you see on social media aligns with your morals and beliefs. It is so easy to get caught up in people's lives on social media. Even though we all know that social media is not real life, people only show what they want others to see. Another way to separate yourself from the harmful nature of technology is doing a digital detox, where you rid yourself of all technological devices and step away for some time. This can help you feel more connected to not only the people you spend time with, but our world as well. All in all, technology does have its perks. It has allowed us to easily connect with others from far distances. It has allowed us to unleash our creative potential, as well as opened a multitude of job possibilities. It has even broadened our education, giving us majors of study that specifically revolve around technology. Technology and the media have immensely improved our society in many ways. However, every positive does come along with some negatives. As a society, it is important that we all find a healthy balance between the two. So, here's to keeping it real in the digital age, finding that harmony between tech and humanity. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Haley Falera reporting for SCMA.
So Haley, really nice video.
Thank you.
Tell me when you first got interested in this thing called work-life balance.
I feel like it really started for me when I came to college. It was a really big adjustment. The schoolwork, the extracurriculars that I joined a sorority and I quickly got involved in different positions. And I was definitely a lot more busy coming into college than I was throughout high school. And I noticed my grades started slipping, which hadn't happened. So I realized that there had to be a change. And then I started looking more into how I could balance my extracurriculars and my schoolwork with also being able to stay in touch with family and friends at home, as well as create new connections and meet new people here at Sacred Heart.
So do you think that technology should simply be pushed aside, or are there ways we can use the technology to actually help this balance?
It definitely took me a while to find that happy medium, but I definitely think that technology can help you create a balance. I use a multitude of different apps. My favorite is Google Calendar, and iPhone now
Classic.
has widgets,
Yes.
and I can do a little widget on my home screen, and it has my whole schedule for the day as soon as I open up my phone and what assignments I need to do, what time of day, and I feel like that has helped me really stay on track throughout college the past 3 years.
I think it's really insightful to see how much time we spend in different tasks too, isn't it?
No, absolutely. And I feel like the good thing about Google Calendar and planning out your day, it's essential, especially when you do have to be a million different places at once and you have a bunch of different classes and a bunch of different assignments too. It helps you stay on task and figure out what needs to be done and when.
I think you just solved the problem. We use AI to clone ourselves so we can do a million things
I
in
think
one
so
day.
too.
All right, thanks for joining us.
Of course, thank you so much.
Okay. In the world of live theater, Junior Billy Kasheda investigated just how much technology has impacted the theatrical industry. Using specific instances from his experience as a performer, as well as an interview from a current theater student at the university, Billy prompts the question as to how technology might positively or negatively affect the future.
Live theater is a form of art that relies on the intimate connection between performers and the audience. However, in an age dominated by technology, the temptation to record these performances for online publication has grown. This raises concerns about the intellectual property, artistic integrity, and the impact of the traditional theater experience. Recording and distributing a live performance without proper authorization infringes on the intellectual property rights of the creators. It undermines the financial viability of the theatrical industry and robs artists of their due compensation. Beyond legal implications, there's an artistic side to consider. Live theater is about the shared experience in a specific moment. Once it's recorded and viewed online, that moment is lost, and the connection between actors and audience is gone forever. How does recording and publishing online affect the magic that happens on stage? The thrill of live theater lies in its spectacle. Each performance is a unique event, and the audience becomes part of something ephemeral. Once you start recording and distributing, it dampers the experience, turning it into a mass-produced product. As performers, our energy is fueled by the live interactions with the audience. Knowing that our work will be recorded can lead to self-questioning and a loss for the magic of theater. It alters the dynamics of the company, and above all, stifles the creative process. But don't just take it from me. Please welcome SHU Theater Arts Program member Juliana Balzano to talk about her experience with live theater and technology. What is your major?
I am a theater arts with a concentration in musical theater and media arts with a concentration in film and TV double major.
And what is your involvement in the theater arts program here on campus?
I'm an avid member of the improv troupe, shows on stage, off stage, and I'm also secretary chair for our e-board as well as an assistant to Jerry Gehring.
How has technology negatively affected a theater experience for you?
Technology has affected a theater experience for me. One time I was on stage during a show and all I could focus on was the fact that someone in the front row had their phone out, and no one did anything about it because they were holding it very close to their chest, and I didn't know the person, my friends didn't know the person, so we don't know what they did with that, if it was being used for their own personal bootleg, if it was being used for their own personal reasons. All I know is that it was a very uncomfortable situation.
Thank you, Juliana. So how can we strike a balance between embracing technology and preserving the magic of live theater? One solution is embracing new technologies in a controlled manner. Perhaps theaters can explore live streaming with limited access, maintaining an ephemeral nature for those who physically attend the performance. Implementing stricter copyright protection and actively pursuing legal action against unauthorized recordings can act as a deterrent. Additionally, educating the audience about the importance of supporting live theater financially could create a sense of responsibility amongst the performers. Remember, the magic of theater lies not only in the performances on stage, but also in the shared experience between the actors and the audience. An experience that would be treasured and protected for generations to come. Thank you so much for listening to me today. This is Billy Kasheda, signing off.
Thanks for this really interesting piece, Billy.
Thank you.
Now, tell me a little bit about what motivated you to take on this topic.
So I have been in the world of theater since I was 8 years old, and I have seen quite a fair share of technology and how it has impacted theater, and more so how it has impacted the theater experience for people who go to see shows. I remember a couple years ago I went to see a show, and it started out with someone in the audience recording what was going on stage, and all I could focus on was that one person with their phone out because they actually were holding it right in front of them.
Or an iPad.
And all the ushers were coming in with their flashlights, flashing them, trying to make sure that they shut off the phone and they were paying attention to what was going on stage.
It definitely ruins the experience.
Oh, yeah. And that one instance turned into multiple instances as I continued to go back and to watch shows on Broadway.
Do we have to train ourselves out of this? Do we have to train ourselves to be in the moment instead of, thinking about the social media aspect?
Honestly, yes, I think so, because theater is something that is, I talk about it in my video, theater is ephemeral, which basically means that all those moments that you're watching on stage are things that occur only once. If you try to replicate that same moment, it will not be the same thing. Even as close that you can possibly get it, it will not be the same thing as what you just saw before.
And they're pricey.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Money is a big factor when it comes to seeing shows.
Right. Money well spent. Put it in your brain, right? Not in your pocket. All right. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Excellent work. Online identities and anonymity allow people or users to behave in ways they would not in the real world. Reporter Robert Nadel reports on the consequences of online abuse and cyberbullying.
You ever have a feeling that you're left alone? Feel like you're surrounded by toxic people who just take advantage of you? I would hope not, because that's not a kind of world that I would want to live in. If you were to ask me what I think about technology and digital devices, I would probably say it'd be like a double-edged sword. The things it does for us can be beneficial, like giving us word on news or weather, or interacting with others from long distances, be it friends or family. But my biggest issue is that it hides the darker side of the digital world. I think Khalif Latoro summed up the toxicity of the digital world perfectly. What separates the digital from the physical world is the lack of identity. Take a look at the physical world. Look at yourself. You have your own identity. That's what makes you yourself. Now compare this to the digital world. You have the ability to hide who you really are in the physical world. Like, if you didn't know any better, would you be able to tell who I am? Yeah, about what I thought. There could be people who abuse their online personas to hide their darker actions. Whether it being priding themselves over others, spreading false information to everyone else, cyberbullying others, likely without consequence, or worst of all, they could have committed an illegal crime in the physical world, and you would have never have known that at first. And from my experience, discovering their true identity can be really horrifying. I remember coming in contact with a user who is an artist and writer. He's made a few stories under his belt, a few characters and worlds up his sleeve, and even had artwork of these said worlds and characters. I even collaborated with him on a few things. But then I found out what he's been doing behind the curtains. Not only did he receive an allegation for grooming a minor, but he also performed a Rule 34 of art, where he drew a bunch of underage characters. You know what? No, I'm not even going to say it. I don't think I'm even allowed to say it and stuff like this. But once his identity in the real world was revealed, all of his friends and collaborators, myself included, broke all connections with him. But what's even more baffling about people who use the digital world, they don't even try to hide their horrible actions. Like Logan 30acre of SML, who's gone from a fairly respected plush YouTuber to a self-entitled, pretentious user who treats his audience with disrespect. And there's also J-Station, who actually capitalizes on the death of well-known figures, even going as far as to gaslight his audience into thinking that his girlfriend was dead, when really, that was just a big fat lie. And those are just well-known figures in the digital world. There are also users who abuse other users, I heard stories about victims of cyberbullying. Not only are there users who treat others with absolute disrespect, but there are also some that treat them all like mindless sheep, further emphasizing why the digital world can be consequenceless and toxic. Twitter is by far the biggest offender in this issue. I've seen so much abuse of false information because a user riled up a bunch of other ones into putting a certain topic on trending, such as war and politics. And that's not even getting into the huge controversies it found itself in recent years. I honestly got so fed up with the amount of abuse that's been happening on Twitter that I ended up deleting my account entirely. And it's not like having a persona in the digital world is entirely a bad thing. Like, I build my online persona based off of my interests. And I tend to be pretty respectful with other users. But I'm not perfect. I sometimes make mistakes. But I try to learn from them. But being in a world where there are people who actually hide who they really are and treat others with disrespect without a care in the world, just for recognition, is honestly really horrifying. If people didn't abuse the digital world to hide their true selves, I'm certain it wouldn't be nearly as dangerous. Especially since everyone of all ages at least uses devices like this. But who knows what the future will hold.
So, Robert, interesting piece. This obviously came from personal experience.
Yes, I have experienced this stuff before in all my years of social media, especially YouTube.
So, what do you think? I mean, being online allows people to be liberated from who they really are, which I think is important.
Yeah.
But it's abused.
Yeah.
How do we fix that?
Honestly, I'd say standing up and being more aware of your surroundings and not letting anyone else determine who you are and what they say about you.
That's
you've heard the term stop bullying?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that in a way.
Okay, so those are wise words. What do you think is going to happen in terms of cyberbullying with AI?
Honestly, I don't know if it's going to be any different.
Could be worse.
Yeah. I've seen experience of AI making a situation a lot worse.
Right.
Like YouTube especially. You know the algorithm?
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, that thing is pretty bad.
Yeah. And well, now YouTube is trying to have rules about the use of AI and the use of like synthetic voices and avatars and such.
Yeah.
Do you think that's going to be useful?
I don't know. I don't tend to use it unless I use it for something silly, like what I did when I tried AI voiceover.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, back in 2022.
Well, they're only getting better.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see what the future holds.
Yeah.
All right.
Hopefully it'll be good.
Thanks for joining us.
No problem.
All right. So thank you for joining us on this episode of Digital Citizen. We're really glad that you're watching and paying attention to these important issues. And I think that, having the students engage in these things and explore this new digital reality that we're in is vital, both in an educational experience and in the real world. So you're doing your part by participating and watching, and we hope the information we presented resonates with you and you can share that with others. Thank you again for watching Digital Citizen. I'm Professor Gregory Golda here at the School of Communication, Media, and the Arts at Sacred Heart University. Have a great evening.
In this class, we examine how digital technology impacts our lives in this rapidly changing world. Today, we will hear from a number of students as they consider their relationships and issues with this rapidly evolving technology. I'm your host, Colin Mora. Welcome to Digital Citizen. Junior Haley Genzale discussed how people feel like they're losing control over their future with the fast advancements being made in technology.
I find myself constantly worrying about what advances technology will be having in upcoming years. It should be an exciting thing though, right? But when it's changing rapidly, it's almost frightening. I identify this issue as digital helplessness, and it is something that's important to me. I tend to think a lot about my future and what's in store for me, and a constant thought in my head is what the future education system and the careers will look like. And I often ask myself the question, at what age will I allow my future children to begin consistently using technology? I'm Haley Genzale, and I'm here with Sophia Vendetti. Sophia's opinions differ from mine when it comes to technology.
Hi Haley, thank you for having me. I believe that we should be embracing technology these days as opposed to holding back.
So I'm very curious as to why you feel that way. Like for me personally, I am very nervous for when it comes to the future and showing my children technology. Like I don't want to expose them to it at an early age, but are we going to have to do that? Is it what is it going to look like? What are your opinions on that?
That's a totally reasonable statement. I totally understand that, but I believe that we should be exposing our kids to technology. I feel like it'll be for their better as we grow as a society. I feel like they will be left behind if they're not exposed from such a young age, as once they get to school, they'll be just thrown in front of computers anyways.
Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate your opinion. So, when it comes to AI, artificial intelligence, what do you think about that? Because for me personally, it scares me a lot because it's advancing really, really fast and we don't even know what it can even do. We don't know all of its power yet. So, what do you think about that?
That's a really great question. I was doing some research on the topic where I came across a very interesting quote from WGU. They stated, companies are using AI technology to streamline their daily processes, analyze upcoming trends, forecast growth, and predict outcomes. In my opinion, AI has more benefits than bad qualities, which is why I feel like we should embrace it as opposed to limit it these days.
So, our future is going to be widely based on technology, whether we like it or not. And it's up to us to teach our children how to use it the correct way because they will be exposed to it anyways. So, what is your opinion on parents today showing their children technology now, in the way that they're doing it with the iPads and the videos and the TV shows? What do you think about that?
I do agree with what you're saying. I do think that parents these days are kind of shoving the screens into these kids' faces when I feel like we should be easing them into the transition a little bit slower. I do think that we should be exposing them to technology and everything like the iPads and all the screens, but to an extent so that we're not stunting their learning and education.
So, people today are actually concerned and worried with the advances being made in technology. Christian Kelly from Medium.com states, a recent study found that the average American is more afraid of robots than death. What do you think about that?
As I do feel like that is a very reasonable thing to be worried about. I feel as we can't fear our future as technology is never going away.
Sophia, thank you so much for being here today. I really enjoyed hearing your opinion.
Thank you so much for having me.
Going forward, I believe we have to come together and cut down on our technology usage before it gets too excessive. We can do as such through not allowing our children to use technology until a certain age, cut down the usage at schools and jobs as well. As time goes on, technology advances, and we have the power to take control of it.
Haley, what are some ways that we can combat this feeling of digital helplessness?
I feel like if we really take the time to learn and get used to the technology that we're being shown, the new technology, I think that we would be able to take control of it and really put it to a good use instead of taking advantage of it.
And what are some ways that you think that schools will integrate this new tech like AI into the classroom in the future?
So I think that the schools are going to take advantage of the technology, and I don't think it's going to be good for the children that are learning, because when we were in school, we were using pencils and paper, and now the kids are getting really used to using the technology, especially with AI also.
I agree. I think that it could definitely hinder students' memories and their functional skills. And I really appreciate you joining me on Digital Citizen today. Let's take a look at what she's got next. Junior Matthew Kelm discussed the dangers of digital distractions. He focused on how digital technology, especially smartphones, distracts us from the more important aspects of our lives, as well as how it negatively impacts our physical and mental health.
My name is Matthew Kelm, and this is my issue. My issue is that digital technology, especially smartphones, are distracting us from the more meaningful aspects of our lives. Have you ever been at work, school, or even at home with family, and someone is constantly texting, checking, and clicking away on their phone? This is something I experience every day. In this video, I'm going to give you some facts on how digital distractions are affecting your mental and physical health. But first, let me tell you a quick story. Me and 3 of my closest friends all got together to go to a Yankee game a few years ago during the summer. It was a boring game and not much had happened up to this point. But I have a vivid memory was when one of my friends wasn't paying attention to the game. He was extensively texting someone. As he was typing away, in a split second, one of the players hit a monster home run. And guess what? My friend missed the most exciting moment of the game because he was on his phone. This is just one example of a time when a phone distracted me or one of my closest friends or family from something important. Education and jobs are some of the biggest components affected by digital distractions. In the article, How to Maximize Efficiency While Minimizing Digital Distractions by Austin Davis, states, in a study conducted by the University of California, Irvine, it was found that a person on average takes 23 minutes and 15 seconds to recover from any interruption in workflow. This stat just shows that every time your phone rings in class or at work, you won't be able to refocus on the task at hand for at least another 20 minutes. Not only does it affect your daily production, but it can affect your health as well. An article written by Harvard Medical School states a 2017 study published in the journal Chronobiology International involving young adults in their 20s showed that blue light exposure before bed cut down sleep by roughly 16 minutes. Blue light exposure also reduces the body's production of melatonin, a hormone that is connected with normal sleep cycles. The fact that checking your phone before you go to bed can interrupt your sleep schedule should be one of the many reasons we should cut down on letting our devices distract us. I'm a victim of this. I'm a person who has to fall asleep every night to a YouTube video or TV show. Now that we know the harm our digital devices can do to us physically and mentally, these devices can still be used productively, if used correctly. Some ways we can limit the negative effects of digital distractions includes 1. Turning your notifications off on your device, where you can easily resist checking your phone because it's not constantly beeping all the time. Leaving your phone at home when you go out to run quick errands, dinner, or social events is another way to stay focused and give the people your 100% attention to at all times. It is important we don't let digital technology distract us from doing our jobs, spending precious time with the family, education, as well as our health. I'm Matthew Kelm from Sacred Heart University, and that is my issue. Thank you.
Welcome to Digital Citizen. Do you think AI will make people more distracted?
Yeah, so, I do think it's going to make people more distracted. I think it's just another outlet that people are going to use day in, day out. You see people use social media, they use it to call, text people. So I think it's just another thing that's going to be added, maybe another app that people are just going to be using, and it's just going to keep people even more distracted, like distracting them from what I talked about in my video, the more meaningful aspects of their lives.
And have you seen this as a distraction in your own personal life?
Yeah, I mean, kind of, because I see some of my friends that are, so obviously education is a huge part of our lives, and AI has a huge impact on education, and how some of my friends are like distracted when they do their homework. They're trying to get all the answers from AI, and they're trying to not figure it out mentally inside their own heads, but they're just like asking questions, and sometimes they get caught off guard and they ask random questions to AI that have nothing to do with what they're doing at hand. So yeah, I do think it's gonna have a negative impact on society.
Definitely. You heard it here first. AI and these new digital technologies can definitely be used as a tool for distraction. So be careful when you're surfing the internet, and make sure that you stay focused on the more meaningful aspects of life. In sophomore Jack Winan's presentation, he brought forth the issue of losing connection to reality through certain media outlets such as social media and video games. He believes technology is taking us into a false reality that we do not want to stay in.
Have you ever been playing video games and imagined yourself in that universe, or slipped into another reality when scrolling through social media? Technology has become essential in our world today, but is it taking us into a false reality? Hi, I'm Jack Winans, and today on What's Your Issue, I'll be looking into how we're losing connection to reality through the use of technology in certain media outlets. Social media users have created fake characters and personas on certain platforms. Phones have ruined in-person interactions. Video games have ruined physical activities with friends, because why hang out with friends in person if you can just talk with them online? AI has even become a new threat, as it has all the answers for us. Even though AI is a useful tool, it's starting to ruin people's creativity and will become a bigger problem than it is now. I decided to do my own research to see the downfall technology is having on human interaction. A poll from Gallup in summer of 2023 stated that teenagers 13 through 19 approximately spend 4.8 hours a day on social media, which is a pretty high number. According to A Virtual Life, How Social Media Changes Our Perceptions by Sherry Thomas, she writes about the dangers of social media and how it's changing the perception not only on ourselves, but about the world around us. She introduces Ali Jazari, a PhD associate professor of clinical psychology, who quotes that there's the danger of slipping too far into a virtual world and losing a sense of real life, real self, and real priorities. He believes this when using media outlets such as social media. He also believes that some people use this social media to create something that they're not. They're pressured by influencers to not be themselves, but a persona that we see all over the internet. I mean, we can probably think of personal experiences where we've seen people that are completely different on their social media, whether it's in a positive way or a negative way. Now let's transition to video games and the false reality that they can bring us into. People may use video games as escape from reality, which I personally have seen. If you played a video game, you might have actually wanted to be in that world of that certain video game. For example, I like playing career mode in some sport games, and sometimes I do wish I was there, you know? I'm an athlete making millions, winning championships, being super successful. I have my entire life figured out. But meanwhile, I'm a college student who doesn't quite have his life figured out yet. And sadly, some people turn to video games to look for a meaning of life, but they're not going to get anything out of that. And that can be very concerning. I looked at an article from Science Direct called Escaping Through Video Games, Using Your Avatar to Find Meaning in Life. And this article describes research of why people escape through video games. In the article, a clinical research group in the medical health field out of China was quoted saying that youth experiencing lower presence of meaning may engage in gaming as a way of obtaining meaning in life. Taken together, these studies suggest that individuals with lower presence of meaning may utilize video games to find meaning in life. However, the increased frequency of gaming may act to further decrease individuals' presence of meaning and coincidentally result in negative mental health outcomes. What they mean is that those who play video games and do not value much of their own life are losing understanding of their true self. They are forcing themselves out of reality because the games give them their own sense of comfort. Media used for entertainment is fun and can take us into an intriguing world, but not one we want to stay in. So have fun out there, play video games, scroll through social media, but don't stay in a reality that doesn't exist. Thanks for watching, and let me leave you with this question. What's your issue?
Jack, it's good to have you on the program today. Tell me a little bit about your personal relationship to this false reality of technology.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. So, I've been playing video games all my life, and have you played a lot of video games?
I have, yeah, I've played some video games.
Have you noticed, if you play, it kind of takes you into this, interesting world?
Yeah, definitely.
But I've seen it in people, it starts to become an issue. People are constantly playing because it starts to feel like they have this sort of meaning in their life, and that can be very concerning. So I decided to highlight. And social media, people just aren't being themselves, and they're creating this false reality about themselves, which is very concerning.
What are some of the ways you used your presentation to highlight these issues that come with the false reality of digital technology?
Yeah, so I looked into some psychologists, some of their quotes of saying how it's concerning going into this this false reality, and I looked into those and I highlighted that by playing clips, and yeah, hopefully it got the message across.
No, it definitely did.
Yeah.
And that was Jack Winans with his issue, Losing Connection to Reality. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Digital Citizen, where we look to explore the ways in which digital technologies are simultaneously offering us once unimaginable conveniences, but also taking a toll on our mental health and bringing about societal changes faster than we can adapt.